Hey guys, Ulrich here, long time no see. You probably hear it a little bit. I'm a bit under the weather and we're also in the process of moving, so things have been a little bit chaotic around here. That unfortunately will go on for a couple of months till the move is completed. But I'm not here to talk about my move. Much more important, I'm here to talk about what I believe will be a new milestone in the doom genre, heavy rock genre, whatever you want to call it. I'm talking about Telekinetic Yeti and their debut album release. If you're unfamiliar with the band, I was unfamiliar with the band as of a few months ago when I stumbled upon a couple of YouTube videos where the band had released some material, some videos and some tracks. I believe it was specifically two of the tracks that are actually featured on this album, Beneath the Black Sun, and I think it was Colossus. I was immediately very, very intrigued for a whole host of reasons, and I am so stoked for Alex Bauman and Anthony Dreyer that this two-man band, if you will, put this outstanding album together. As a matter of fact, what you see right here is the very first CD printed. I couldn't believe, and I feel actually embarrassed and guilty that I hold that in my hand because, I'm terribly self-conscious, but nonetheless, I'm equally honored, obviously, and will hold this copy in very, very high regard, but not just because it's the very first copy, but simply because of the content, because of the music, and because of the songs. So let me try to attempt something here that might sound a little bit esoteric and abstract to some of you. But if you don't know the band yet, then a good way, at least in my opinion, to give you a rough idea of what you can expect is think of the profoundness and the vehemence of a sleep record, or more specifically, think of Dope Smoker. That kind of vibe, but paired with the unpredictability of a Melvins song. And that sounds a little bit strange, but that was my impression, or that is still my impression as I listen to these 8 tracks and 45 minutes of what I believe is almost dichotomous content. And I'll get to that in a second, because if I bring now in the third element that stands out to me as one of the characteristics of that album is the musicality and just the approach to certain parts of their material. So the riffs, the underlying riffs, the story, the foundation, you have the heaviness. Then you get this, I just talked about it, the unpredictability of a Melvin song. Whenever I listened to a Melvin song the first time, I had no idea what to come next. They changed. They just go with their songs to places that I couldn't predict or expect, and that ultimately makes them very interesting, even though I do like predictability too. Nonetheless, heaviness, vehemence, profoundness, then the unpredictability, the surprise element, if you will, and then the third component again is yet the musicality, specifically when it comes to fills, runs, coloration, accentuation. I hope that is a word. But that's really where you have a seemingly dichotomous situation in this just boom, heavy, massive. And then, as I just mentioned, this playfulness, the lightness, the fluidity, if you will, of Alex's soloing, the licks, the fills, the stories, the coloration, accentuation, all these things, paired with Anthony's very percussive and almost melodic drumming. That's the best way to describe it. Think of the great jazz drummers of the 50s and 60s. And then later on, obviously Bill Ward would be a great reference in my opinion, because to me he kind of uses that same jazzy, swingy style. So what I'm trying to tell you is, yes, it's heavy. You get all that. You get all that right out of the box, and it makes, and this is ultimately the foundation of Telekinetic Yeti. But I wouldn't reduce it to just the heaviness, to that one component, because I think in totality, and that's really what makes this album so outstanding to me, is the totality, its entirety, its story. Speaking of, the album, I mean, I listened to the album now 10 times, I want to say, in a row at different stages and different situations. I listened to it in the car, I listened to it while I was medicated, I listened to it in the morning, the evening, and you know, music affects you differently at certain times, right? And it works beautifully for me. I sound like Trump now, beautifully. Anyway, it works very well for me when I want to meditate, or just to take a break, get my mind off of certain things. And it works equally well when I'm just alone at home and headbang to these slayers of songs such as Feathered and Stoned. Speaking of Feathered and Stoned, is a very good example of what I just tried to describe with these three elements, if you wanted to categorize it that way. I think Feathered and Stoned is a very good manifestation or example of what I just tried to articulate here. But look, ultimately what I say is irrelevant. My job here was to try to get Telekinetic Yeti on your radar screen if you don't know already the band, because if you are unfamiliar with their music, and if you are into heavy rock or doom or whatever you want to call it, then you're missing out. I guarantee you that. I'm very, very confident in that statement. So what I'd like you to do is, here are a few links up here in the video and down below in the description box. Check them out. Get yourself a copy of the CD, the vinyl. If you buy the CD or vinyl, you get automatically the electronic version, which you can download right away. The release date of this album is March 17. I hope I get that right. I got that right. I think it's definitely in March. I'm not exactly sure around the date. It doesn't matter. Here's the link. This is where I want you to go. This is where I want you to check out their music. And I would be very surprised if you would disagree with me on this debut album being an outstanding first statement for a band that I believe will have a massive, massive impact on the genre itself. I know that's a lofty statement, but I stand behind it because this is unique. This is not just another Black Sabbath baby, and I love Black Sabbath babies. I don't know why I call them Black Sabbath babies. Nothing wrong with that. I can never get enough of them, but this is different. This is much more. This really transcends genres and really breaks the mold a little bit. You know what? Enough of my ramblings. Again, go check them out. Telekinetic Yeti, their debut album, 8 tracks, 45 minutes of sonic indulgence. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll see you next time. Till then, bye bye.